Hi, welcome back. We're at day 2 of our live tax and asset protection event here in beautiful Las Vegas. And day 1 was Infinity Investing, and we're getting to sit down with the wonderful Markay Latimer. Markay, welcome.
Thank you.
So you have a pretty amazing story, and I've heard this a few times, but for our audience, tell us, how did you get started in investing?
Okay, so I started, I was in my 20s, shortly after I had graduated from college. So just like a couple of years ago, ish. but no, seriously, I was working in public relations, and I loved the field. I had fun, but not that much fun, because I realized I was making money for somebody else, right? And gosh, it was just a long time before retirement. You know, when you're in your early 20s,
Yeah,
and
the
you
grind.
realize, yeah, wow.
That's amazing that you realized that at such a young age.
Well, you know what it was. I thought I don't have vacation days to go on vacation, and even if I did, I didn't have the money to do it. So it was some of that, and it was just quality of life that I just didn't want to live that way, and I just wanted a little bit extra. I also originally wanted to be a doctor, like from the time I was a very little kid, and I found out that you know, for some reason have to take math classes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm an attorney, and the math, no thank you.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, really, it was that kept me away from even trying. I never even tried, because I just thought I don't like it, I'm not good at it, I'm done. So PR, here I come. So that was kind of where I started. And I thought, you know what, forget it. I could learn how to crunch some numbers or whatever it is in the doctor world that you need math for. So I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm going to go back to school. So a big part of my motivation to trade was I needed a way to pay for school.
Oh.
You know? So I was making a little bit of money, not a lot. Starting PR was very, it's not a super lucrative field at the low end. And so what I wanted to do was just get some extra cash. And at the time I thought, if I could just make an extra $1,000 a month, I could start saving that, and that was going to be life-changing for me at that point, right? And so that was my goal. And I had found a trading book that I'd read, and then I tucked it away and didn't do anything with it. Well, now when I was really motivated to get extra money, I picked that book back up and I really studied it. And my mom invested with me. We started this together, this learning process. I put in $1,000 that I had saved. My mom pitched in $500, and my sister pitched in $500. So I had this $2,000 account to start trading. And I just, I worked hard. I met the right people. I learned a lot, had some really great mentors, and I applied it, and I was able to take that $2,000 to $2 million in 2 years.
That's incredible.
It was pretty great. And, I was helped with a really great bullish market, but what really made the difference, it was the chart patterns. I learned that if you read a stock chart, it's going to make all the difference on your entries and your exits. Meaning you're buying things for less, you're selling them for more.
Yeah.
And it was funny, one of my mentors, his name was Richard, and I was trading, and I would make a little and I would lose a little, and I just wasn't doing that well. And he said, Markay, if you'll learn how to chart, you'll do so much better than you are right now. And I thought it was ridiculous to look at something that happened in the past, what a stock did yesterday and last month. How on earth is that going to help me make money today and tomorrow, right? It just could not compute. So luckily I was kind of ornery enough that I thought, okay.
Just determined.
Yeah, that's it, determined. There you go, that's a much better word. But I was really determined, and I thought, okay, I am going to figure out what he really is doing, because this guy was making a lot of money in the market. He was doing very well, highly successful trader. But I thought he still had a secret that he wasn't telling me. So I thought, okay, I don't know a thing about charting. Let me figure it out. So then I could go back to him and say, Richard, you're wrong. What is it that you're really doing? Because clearly it's not charting. That was my plan. That was my evil plan that I had.
You're like, I'm going to get him.
This is what's going to happen, and I'm going to find out what he really is doing. But what's so funny is that through that process of me practicing and backing charts up and learning more about charting and different levels and price patterns, what I realized is that my trades started getting better. So I started winning more and losing less often, and then my gains were bigger. And it was just this slow kind of process that as I went back and reviewed my trades, which I think is really important for traders to take that look back and go through, once a month, I think that you should do that. And as I was doing that, going through that process, I realized, wait a second, it was so kind of subtle at first that I didn't really even notice what a difference it was making. So really about 2-3 months in at the most, it made such a significant difference. Yeah, that I had to go to Richard and say, all right, thank you. That's life-changing. Right. It was great. I do not feel bad that he was right. It was perfect.
Being so young, so I'm the type of person who wants to know everything before taking that first step. So how did you get over that analysis paralysis?
Yeah, and that's, you know what, it's interesting you say that because I see that holds a lot of people up. Because here's the neat thing about the market. You don't have to know everything to get started, and especially the way that we do it here, where we're teaching, safe stocks, really good conservative money-making strategies. Don't jump in and do the crazy high-risk stuff. It's not necessary. But you can start out slow and steady, and you learn along the way, but there are really some safe, easy ways to do it, and just taking that first step is often the hardest. You're getting people to open up an account and buy their first stock sometimes it's terrifying. But if you'll just do that, and I'll walk people through it, I'll show you exactly how to do it, but you get that first step by your first stock, and then everything, I think it kind of falls into place, and you'll realize it's not as overwhelming as it may seem.
Was it intimidating because you were relatively young, you're a woman in what's considered a male-dominated industry? Was it intimidating learning that, and how did you get past that to become where you are today? Yeah,
I guess I really just wanted it so bad that I didn't let any of that faze me. I just was really focused on the end result. And I did. I learned with a lot of men because it is more, I really don't know why. Because I think women are better traders than men.
We're better at a lot of things.
But there really is that, it's definitely male dominated, right? Wall Street is definitely male dominated. Even in the world of trading, you'll see a lot more men than women. But I am seeing more of a transition, actually, as more and more women at events like this. And,
That's true.
And they're good. One of the things that they theorize is that women are maybe a little bit better at admitting when they're maybe not quite right. So if you maybe buy the wrong stock or at the wrong time, we say okay and sell. We don't get ego about it typically.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. So I actually went to a day-long Infinity, August 2020, when nobody could leave their homes. I work at Anderson Advisors, and Toby was like, come do the one-day Infinity event so that we want all of our employees to be getting into this because that's the best way to understand what's going on, and we want you to be financially secure in the future. So I sat there, I watched it, I drank a bottle of Prosecco, and by the end of the day, I had 100 shares of Coca-Cola. Nice. But since then, I haven't done anything because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this 100 shares. So talk me through, what would you tell someone like me who's dipped their toe in but is just sitting on it?
Now you just need that next step. And that's just, you could work in the stock market landlord side of things where you rent that stock out.
And that's options trading.
Yes, you can. So you bring in the options world, which is really, it's a way to leverage your stocks. It's a way to bring in extra money. You rent Coca-Cola, you can rent it weekly. And it's selling an option, it's cash right in your account. And then the way the trade plays out, it's set up that you'll just hang on to your stock and you get this extra rental income. The risk is that you'll sell your stock.
And then what do you do?
Then you have cash in your account and you could rebuy that.
Buy another one.
And you only would sell it at a profit. So your risk in this strategy is really nothing.
Isn't there.
It's all a positive. And stocks will go up and down in price, but this is a way that you can make money and bring in some cash flow regularly while you just own that stock. Microsoft is a good example of that for after the tech bubble burst in 2000. So way back then, Microsoft went sideways and just flat for about 16 years. Well, during that period, they started offering dividends. Nobody wanted to buy their stock because it wasn't going up like other tech companies were. But if you owned Microsoft for those 16 years and you rented it out, and you could do it weekly or monthly, that would have been cash flow from that stock that for 16 years did nothing.
Yeah. And then now how is it doing?
Oh, skyrocketed. And Microsoft is now heavily invested in AI. And so that's the whole big sector right now that you want to keep an eye on. And the thing with new sectors that is really, you want to be aware of this, kind of like when the internet was new back in the 90s and it was all the hot stock and these stocks were running like crazy. not a lot of them are still around. Some of them will just completely go away. Some of the early innovators, their companies may just not make it. And that's where we are in AI. There are going to be some companies that are phenomenal, and they are here to stay. Microsoft is one of those, right? And there's some others, NVIDIA, other stocks like that have a piece of this AI sort of sector. They'll be around. But there'll be other ones that will pop up and that probably won't last long term.
Yeah, flare and then disappear.
Exactly. Now, and those are trading type stocks. You can still make money on them, but they aren't stocks you want to buy. And there are ways to kind of get a pretty good feel for what are the right stocks to buy. We teach that so that you know exactly how to kind of weed that list out so you have just good quality stocks that aren't going anywhere.
That's awesome. So as part of our Infinity Investing, if you were here live, we do all kinds of specials at the live events. Sometimes Toby and Clint are just giving away things for free at the last minute. One of the included items is a 2-day training course with you. So what would somebody who's doing this course expect to learn?
It's a great place if you're new. We're going to meet together online. I'm going to go through the basics of really what stocks you want to be buying, and I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you the actual execution of it. I'll show you where you're at and you need help with that next step.
Yeah.
We're going to walk through that. I'm going to teach all about how you can use the options market to bring in that extra leverage, and I'm going to teach charting patterns so that you know the timing of when to buy your stock and when to rent it out. I'm also going to go into a little bit of trading and show you some safe ways that you could trade and make money from some of the swings that stocks make. And I'll show a couple of my favorite trading strategies. And one of them that I'm going to teach there is being a contrarian, kind of being opposite of everybody else. I think that's where the real money is made in the market. When you're not the last one to the party and you're not following the crowd, you're kind of at the turn at the beginning. It's pretty fun.
That's amazing. So if you guys want to learn more about Infinity Investing, please visit our website, infinityinvesting.com. And thank you, Markay, for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.